This is the face of modern Britain. Rakeem Miles, a 23-year-old low-life waste of oxygen, punched a man to death on the London Underground because he accidentally brushed past him. Now look at this guy, OK? Samuel Winter had his whole life ahead of him. A model citizen by all accounts, an AI engineer. Now he's gone. You just know, don't you, that Rakeem Miles hasn't contributed a single thing to Britain. But do you know how long he'll be in prison for manslaughter? He could be out in just 5.5 years. That's all. Now watch this video.
Of the pop, one day you see man right on the show. Muck up the man, them took your dough. F-Town blood man, that's how I roll. You don't know, now you know. Listen to the bars and check out the flow.
That is a taxpayer-funded rap video about how a lack of respect for other cultures might lead to racism and violence. This Slovakian man is in that video, and he is one of 3 Slovakian men who kidnapped a 12-year-old British schoolgirl and then repeatedly raped her. They plied her with drugs and subjected her to the most horrific ordeal, which took place in this squalid caravan. Just disgusting, isn't it? Imagine what she went through. What have any of those men ever contributed to Britain? Now, I'm not sure they'll even be deported, by the way. And do you know who else we can't deport? An asylum seeker from Tajikistan who has to stay in Britain because he'd been made to shave off his beard back in Tajikistan. Men in the country with beards are apparently arrested, shaved against their will, and have their fingerprints taken by police. It is part of a government campaign to try to prevent men from becoming radicalised and joining Islamic extremist terror groups. So Britain, of course, naturally, has allowed him to stay. Do we think that he will make a sparkling contribution to this country? I suspect not. Hard-working Brits battered to death in random attacks for brushing past someone on their way to work. British schoolgirls raped by drug-fuelled foreigners who've been given handouts by the state, and we're unable to deport a bearded Tajik. Britain is broken. Let's get thoughts from my panel. We have got Director of Popular Conservatives Mark Littlewood. We've also got the Tory MP for Tatton, Esther McVeigh, and broadcaster and journalist Nina Mishkov. Yeah, Mark, look, I've kind of brought those stories together, really, because they were all out today alone, so I thought, well, why not? I mean first things first, he could be out in 5.5 years, that guy, for just battering a stranger to death on the London Underground. I mean, what's going on there?
I agree. And I now compare all of these sentences to what Lucy Connolly got for a tweet. 31 months and no early release. There is something completely skew-if and disproportionate. Look, I can't decide at the moment whether Britain is a tragedy or a joke, but it's one or the other. I mean, the rap video, I guess that preceded him committing the crime. But why on earth are there taxpayer-funded rap videos, for God's sake? I mean, how is that a good use of resources? And then the idea that we'll give safe haven to people because they don't want to shave. I mean, the Human Rights Act, the best a man can get, right? I mean, it's ridiculous that these sort of decisions are made. And you're saying, Patrick, like, if these were 3 stories, weird stories over the past 20 years, you might just say that they were outrageous. But these are 3 stories in the same day.
Yeah.
Britain's going to the dogs.
Yeah, is Britain broken when you look at those stories there, do you think?
I think what you see is people who've been given a place to come, a safe refuge, and what have they done? They're abusing the place they've actually come and had this safe place to live. So in my mind, it's a cross between deeply sad and I'm absolutely livid. Because they should be trying to fit in with society. To punch somebody on a train because what? You didn't like the look of him, didn't like it. The guy has got major psychological, emotional problems. And that comes to who are we letting into the country and why are we letting them into the country?
So that guy, I think, unfortunately for us, I think was actually British, that guy, right?
Oh, my.
But this is the thing. But again, it appears that he spent his life living in social housing. He's 23 years old. He doesn't look like he's ever contributed a single thing to Britain. And that's my point. We have a load of these people who don't contribute to Britain at all. We have a right, I think, to get on the London Underground or any train that you get on, right? And if you just brush past someone, to not be battered to death.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I always say, a reason why you should be going to work, a reason why you should have purpose in your life, a reason that you should be adding in society, because you need that for discipline, to have self-esteem, to have some money. And that's why, I agree with kind of a load of benefit changes, because I think you need to be doing something. You can't be just sat at home doing nothing, smoking ganja, doing whatever, and your life's running away.
But he could be out in 5.5 years, Nina. Is that the price of a life? There you go. We've weighed up the price of a young lad who was a community volunteer, who had a good, well-paid job, but he paid quite a bit of tax work as an AI engineer, and his life is worth 5.5 years in prison?
It's a shocker. It really is. And the thing is, I mean, so what was the actual sentence handed down? I mean, was it 10?
8 years, but he's up for parole in 5.5 years.
That's manslaughter as opposed to murder. I mean, but I think that's actually across the board. That's what you'd get if you were a white guy in a pub who didn't like somebody, going past them to the bar to get their drink and just going, and manslaughter. He wouldn't have got any more than that. So I think that is across the board. The guy...
but it needs to be more, doesn't it? I mean, life needs to be...
Yes,
I mean, I think we're all agreeing on that. It needs to be more.
The thing is, our prisons are full. Our prisons...
Well, to put the foreigners in them, and you've just released 12% of the spaces.
Yes, but the thing is, is he a foreigner? He's British.
No, I'm just saying that they won't be full if you kick out the foreigners in them and send them home. That's 12% of capacity.
Fair enough, I agree with that.
Look, I'm very strict on these things. There should be more prisons. They should be locked up for longer. And I'm afraid we need to separate killers from the rest of society.
The thing is, this stuff is every day, right? Yeah. So the other story there, those Slovakian paedophiles, why are they here? One of them was living in a caravan in Kent, I think it was. Why? So what's he contributing? He lives in a dingy caravan in Kent.
Yes, but there are other people
what's the
who
point
live
of
in a dingy caravan.
They might be British. This guy's a drug dealer.
For more than 20 years, so he's not like he's
a drug-dealing paedophile. Why is he here?
It doesn't matter how he came across. It matters what he does while he's here. The mode of transport into the country is not the main concern.
There are many, sadly, and unfortunately, and tragically, and horrifically, people who live like that. And they're not all people who've come across on a boat. They're not all people who were...
I get it, but what I am saying is, when you look at these people, do you not think it makes you think, Mark, why have we got so many people like this in Britain?
Well, it's very easy to explain, because we're a soft touch. You can come over here quite easily. It is incredibly easy to seek asylum. Considerable majority of applications... Hang on one second. You can seek asylum, you can get refugee status. We have an unbelievably generous welfare state. I am unsurprised. If you set up the rules this way, you will get this sort of behaviour. And I'm with you, Patrick. I think our immigration system should be geared to what contribution are you going to make?
Yes.
Right? Now, the amount that the government spends every year is about £17,000 per head. If you're not contributing that in tax, you are a net beneficiary, not a net contributor. And I want people who are coming in to be expected to pay £17,000 each every year.
And if ever there was a time you could do that, it is now, because the country's furious when they see degenerates who are doing horrific things in this country. And they say, why are you here? You're quite right. That's what people... So now is the time to get those rules changed, deport foreign criminals and lock the rest up.
What about the indigenous people who...
Lock them up.
Thanks to your mob, there aren't the spaces.
But we can't deport British people.
Exactly.
Well, to be fair, they did actually build... They did actually start building 5 new prisons. But 3 are built, and they needed... No. No, they were running hot, and you could have kept them running hot. This is nonsense.
Do you get, Nina, that I think now, increasingly, more so than I've ever known it, people are walking around the streets of Britain, and they genuinely are, a lot of the time, looking around and going, why are you here? Why are you here?
I ask myself, well, why are there so many Brits who you would see are natural white British people who live like that too?
Yeah, but there's two different points. Two different points. No, it is. Because I'm not... Look, Nina, if you are British and you're committing crime, lock you up. But those people who've just arrived here who were committing crime, why are they here? And lock them up, send them home.
The case of the guy who punched the guy on the escalator, he is British.
He is,
You look at the horrendous famous paedophile. The rap video was done 9 years ago before anything. So it's not like the government supported a known paedophile. No. Let's get that straight, because that you implied that the government supported them, and these were people that they were perfectly supposedly normal.
But they were Slovakians who'd come into the country.
One was Slovakian.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, but they were foreign.
Perfectly normal.
Well, but then I'm foreign too.
Oh, go on. Yeah, but
I mean,
have you committed any crimes? Have you killed anyone? Have you punched anybody? It's your
It's a society, Nina. Yeah. That's the difference.
The thing is, but there are so many people who do not contribute the £17,000. Right. Let's deport all of them. Let's deport white British too.
Well, you can't deport Brits.
Well, no, why not? Why not?
Because
let's deport everybody.
Let's just deal with the other aspect of it, which is it's almost like I planned this, really, because as it turns out, we can't deport people, including the bearded man from Tajikistan.
Unbelievable.
Right? The bearded man from Tajikistan can't go anywhere because in Tajikistan, they might make him shave his beard. And what he said to the immigration judge was, well, if they made me, then I would shave it, but I'd rather not. Right? And they said, well, what we hadn't considered was maybe he'd be shaving his beard under duress, and maybe his beard's a religious symbol, and if he has to shave it, it's persecution, so you can stay in Britain.
This is absolutely unbelievable. This is absolutely unbelievable. Tajikistan appears to have some pretty weird rules around beards. But that's not my problem, and that's not the UK's problem.
I'm with them.
Right.
I love beards.
Okay, Nina supports the Tajikistani policy on beards. But the idea that is anywhere close to grounds for staying in the United Kingdom, that counts as persecution, is utterly feeble. We're also in danger of seeing a whole range of cases which are about healthcare in other countries not being as good as British healthcare.
Yeah.
But it's the national British health system. It's not the international healthcare system. These are not our problems. When you're forced to shave your beard off back home, he should have gone.
But this is also a problem with the judiciary, or the tribunal judge, or whatever. If they are the mental gymnastics that these people are doing in order to keep people here in Britain, I find astonishing. They've gone through round the houses. At its core is a bloke with a beard from Tajikistan, who, by all accounts, other than the beard, would have failed his asylum case. And because of the beard, he's allowed to stay. This is nuts.
It's making a mockery out of all of us. And you're quite right. This is why now people are calling to get rid of the European Convention on Human Rights, get rid of this Human Rights Act, because it is being used against us. The principles that were put down might have made sense 50 years ago. They might have made sense. But you're right. What lawyers are doing now to try and win their case is doing gymnastics with words, with the law. But we are the soft touch, and it is being turned on us, and we're paying for it.
Do you think we're right to keep the bearded man from Tajikistan?
No. And the thing is, if you read the story to the end, it's gone to another appeal. So he hasn't.
That's it's wasting money again.
It's dreadful. It's utterly dreadful. I agree with you. But let's get the facts straight. He's not given leave to stay. He's given leave to have another appeal.
The idea that any court could even consider it.
But this is how they end up staying here forever and ever. It's by keeping another appeal. You shouldn't have even needed.
Quite right. The initial intention of the European Convention of Human Rights and things like your right to a private family life basically meant that the Gestapo should not be marching into your house.
Yeah.
It now means that you don't have to reach for a razor blade and some shaving foam.
And if your kid doesn't like chicken nuggets, the Albanian can stay here. I mean, it's a nonsense.
We have a broken justice system. We have a broken prison system, and I know exactly who we can blame for that.
I've never heard so much rot in all my life. But what we need to do is now changing it.
Get a grip. Look, I'm sick of reporting on this stuff. I mean, look, obviously we can have a bit of a laugh about the bearded man from Tajikistan, but the other two things are absolutely vile. And it is every day. It's every day. And I'm sick of it. Anyway.